Hey everybody, welcome back to part 4 of the Gelli print adventures. We're now onto the second page and I'm hoping to get a few of these layouts done in this video. So for the second one, and I have to say that I do love this page. A little bit of pink in the background with a little bit of the orange and the green. Such a lovely combination, and that black border, totally love it. So I'm doing a little bit of whimsy here. I've got the Diane Reevely stamp set, the Chirpy Birds, and I've pre-stamped and pre-fussy cut everything just so that I can, get on with making the journal page and getting this filmed and out to you. So I thought I would just do this really cute little scene where the bird is standing on top of all the flowers on the left hand side of the page, and then just do a little bit of flowers to balance out on the right hand side of the page. So I'm going ahead and experimenting with how many flowers I want. I do end up taking that top one off the left there and leaving it so that there's 4 flowers on the left with the bird on top, and then 4 flowers on the right just to balance it out a tad. Everything gets stuck down with the Aleene's tacky glue, and then I'm going to go ahead and use I'm using my water brush, but I'm actually using the paints. I'm just watering the paints down, the acrylic paints down, and I'm doing a pink and orange color scheme for the flowers, and I'm then doing just plain green, same green as I did the circles in the background along the stalks of the flowers, and later on you'll see me stamp in some more greenery. I do love the color combination of pink and orange. I think it's actually quite lovely. They sit together on the color wheel and they complement each other very well, and they don't clash in any way. So when it came to coloring in the bird, because the dominant color in the background is the orange flowers at each of the corners, I went for the color that was complementary to orange on the color wheel, which is blue. So I colored in the majority of the bird in blue, but then I did choose to go with pink cheeks, and then I added the pink to the wings, and then I thought, well, we might as well give her pink boots. And so she stands out. She's like a pop in the page, which I absolutely adore. And I do go back in with the black Posca pen later on, and I just kind of outline her boots, which is so cute, in her tights. I then go ahead now and start adding the color green to all the stalks, and you will see me add some of the Posca pen to bring out the black in the stalks as well. I grab my white Posca pen and I'm just adding a little bit of white in the borders, and that's about the only white I add to this page. I start doing a little bit of white in the centers of the flowers, but then I give that up because I think that it would be much nicer to have black dots in the center of the flowers. I do outline around each of the petals in the flowers. I'm sorry I'm off screen here. I will move back into screen in just a moment. And here we go, just adding a little bit of the centers of the seeds in the middle of the flowers. I am going ahead now and stamping in, it's another stamp in the stamp set, just like a little fern coming off the flowers. And I'm going to go back in now with the green paint and adding a little bit of green to each of the leaves. I get a little bit lazy here and just use my paintbrush and just the inside of the lid. I find that the lids usually carry quite a bit of pink. And after this is done, I'm going in with my Posca now and just adding a little bit of the definition of the black in the stalks to the tights of the bird, on the bird's, the dots on the bird's wings, and the black of the bird's eye. It is now time to put some words in. I do use the stamp in the stamp set. It says, if it doesn't make you feel fabulous, don't do it, don't buy it, and don't keep it. And I reach for my Tim Holtz sticker pad, and I find the quote that says, "There is beauty in simplicity," and I do like that. I've during this whole couple of months, I have really enjoyed taking everything back to being simple and not asking too much or wanting too much, and just being happy and healthy with what we have. So I really do love the sentiment behind this layout for me. Moving on to layout number 3, and I love this background. I love the blue, I love the orange, I love the green. And I thought I'd reach for my Tim Holtz botanical set of die cuts. This layout came together so quickly, so easy. It was just really inspired by the background. So I thought I would start off by adding this pretty flower on the left-hand side. And I thought I would grab just some book page here, really old book page, just to put it in the background, just so that it grounded the die cut. So for example, sometimes you need something that goes along the bottom so it looks like it's sitting something, but sometimes also, as long as you have something behind an object or something sort of coming out from the edge of the page to the middle of the page where your object is, it kind of grounds the die cut and makes it feel like it's got depth to it, and it's not just a single flower on a page. And I did go for this book page because it's kind of like really vintage. It's one of those papers. It's a Jane Eyre book, and as soon as you bend the page cracks. So I love the vintage feel of it. I love the yellowing of the pages in it. I love the occasional words that you come through. It's, like I said, it's a Jane Eyre, so the topic is really, really intense. So totally love adding book page. It's not so in your face. So I added book page to the left-hand side behind the image of the butterfly coming to land on the flowers. I chose 3 butterflies from smallest to largest, and it kind of looks like a sample. What are butterfly collectors called? How they assemble butterflies from smallest to largest. Kind of looks like that kind of specimen, butterfly specimen. So once I had that down, that came together in 2 minutes. It was the fastest page of them all. I thought I would go ahead and grab some sentiments, and so for the right-hand side, I put live simply, give generously, and stay strong. And for the left-hand side, I, thought about the butterfly, that its only task really was to go for the flowers. So I love the sentiment that says focus on what's important. I grab my Posca pen here and I outline the sentiments, and I do go back a little bit later and add just a few more things. Like at this stage, I thought that it looked quite clean and not too artsy enough, so I added some archival black ink through some punchinella, and I thought that was enough. But the next day I actually added some marks to it and some splatter to it, and so I'm just going to put up some photos now to show you the actual end product. But this is how I left it on this day. I absolutely love this page. It's just so simple. It doesn't have to be such a big deal. So the next page is this double layout, this red page, and it feels like quite a strong page, like it needs to say big statement. So I grabbed my Tim Holtz paper dolls, and I went through them and looked for 2 sets of images, one of a colored little boy and girl and one of a Caucasian 2 girls, it looks like. And I thought I would make one page that kind of expresses how I feel at the moment with the current climate, with the recent events in May, June 2020, what was happening in the streets of Minneapolis. So because I still had book page left over from the last layout, I decided to use them here as well. And I'm just breaking them up into sort of organic little pieces. And I'm going to put them like on the ground so that they are where the children are standing, and also slightly behind them, so it looks like there are other things going on behind them that we don't have to worry about, but that they're not just, it's not just them and the background. So this page is really simple. Once again, I think that it I get the gist of what I want to say. I just don't want to say too much. I actually, I still don't know how I feel. I feel horrible. I feel like it shouldn't happen to anybody. And yeah, I just needed to put down my thoughts and my expressions in my art and let that speak for me, because I just really can't find the words right now. So once everything's down, once the pages are down, the book pages go down just with, glue stick, and then the figurines or the paper dolls, because they're a little bit thicker, they go down with Aleene's glue. So once again, the focal images are down, and I have to go ahead and start my words or my sentiments for this layout. And so I grab my alpha stickers, and I am choosing all the letters to spell out the sentiment, cherish all the sons and daughters. And that is exactly how I feel about the whole thing. I feel like we are all here to look after one another. I feel like we're all someone's daughter. We're all someone's son. We're all moms of people. We're all friends of people. We're all sisters of people. And, when you hurt one mom, you hurt me. When you hurt one child, you hurt mine. So, yeah, I was quite emotional making this layout. But also very happy that I was able to honor the time and how I felt as well. You can see the technique that I'm using here. Basically, I'm just putting the alpha stickers on the edge of just a plastic sheet, and then transferring that whole sheet so that it can all go together in one go. With the correct spacing onto the layout. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. I mean, some of these stickers are also quite old, so sometimes they did not comply, but I'm basically happy with that technique. I didn't have the and symbol, so I just wrote it in myself. I used my white Posca pen just to add a little bit of white outline to the borders, and I felt like I needed to do no more to this page. I feel like it's strong enough on its own the way it is. So for this layout, I looked through all my die cuts, and I found this large words die cut. This came from a Dear Lizzie set that I've had for a long time and didn't know what to do. It's like a scrapbooking set. And I love these really big words here. So say yes and be daring. So they fit really nicely in those large circles. And so I thought that I would use them. And so I reach for my color green here. So this is like a purple kind of magenta color. The opposite of this color on the color wheel is yellow green. And so what I decided to do was start off with my acrylic paint in green, and then just add the really bright yellow, and then go over the green, which will grab some of that yellow, which will grab some of that yellow color, and then mix it on the words as we go, so that it's just this kind of really beautiful yellow to green mix. Nothing that you could ever recreate. It just mixes on the words as you go, and I quite like that. I love how the top is quite yellowy and the bottom is more greeny, and I love it's just a play with color, really. This page was all about words and color, and I love how simple it was. I didn't have to think too much. I just I just really enjoyed making it and playing with colors. So with this one, what I did was I just did the yellow first, and then I added the tiniest bit of green and mixed them on the words again. And when it dried really light. So this one was lighter in green than the other one, but I still love it. So they get put on with Aileen's tacky glue, and as you saw there, I basically just added like a sheet of paper and then used my brayer to make sure that it's good and stuck down to the page. Now you see that some of the other circles are now empty, and none of the words in that pack were small enough to fit there, so I reached for my collage sheets from Dina Wakley, and I chose the sentiment that says, "Art is thoughts you can see." And I think that that's really cool. And what Dina taught us on her daily demos is that with some of those tissue papers, you can color them in with your paints, and so that's what I did here. I added a little bit of yellow just to tie in the yellow from the other words, and I glued them down into the circles, and from there I just did my normal dash and dot border around each of the circles. I then thought that it would be cool to put some borders down, and so I grabbed my Diane Reevely Borders stencil and some black paint, stenciled in some of the borders just on the two sides there. Used my white Posca pen to fill in the borders, and once again, another easy page. Really enjoyed it, didn't have to think too much about designing it. Okay, so for this page with the radiating blue rays, I decided to go for this stencil. This is one of my favorite stencils. I picked it up at a craft show a while ago. I can't even remember who the manufacturer is. I'm using black paint here and basically just stenciling in the outline of the girl. Definitely making sure here that I tap out the paint so that there is no seepage underneath the stencil and ruining the outline. And I do a good job because I like the crisp print. So from here I reach for my Jo Sonja's. I've got a skin tone base and an unbleached titanium. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to blot out some of the blue that is, all over her face. So I'm start off with the titanium first, and then I come in with the skin tone, and I'm gonna totally, high speed through this section because I'm definitely not the one to teach skin tones and coloring in. I definitely feel like I'm like the novice of novices. But I just kind of play around here and get it to a place where I like it. I use the skin tone as like the darker features, and anywhere there is valleys, I add that. Sort of around the face, around the eyes and the nose, underneath the lips, along the cheekbone. I use a little bit of hot pink here for her lips, and I water it down a lot and put a little bit of a rosy cheek. I use a little bit of blue to give her blue eyes to match the blue rays. And then I'm just looking here at the complementary color of blue this is like a violet blue. So it's like the complementary color is like a brownie color. So I reach for this Americana Venetian gold. And I thought that looked like a really lovely sort of brownie color, and I mix a little bit of it with black in a moment, so she gets to be quite like a lovely blonde, dark blonde. And I once again playing with color, looking for complementary colors, and really enjoying how the colors look on the page. I'm going in with my really fine line paintbrush here and just outlining her features around her face, around her lips, I definitely think that she's not done at this stage, but I like where she's at for now. And I just sort of leave her. I might come back later when I'm a little bit more confident in shading and I can give her a little bit more contours and a little bit more shading. But for now, I'm sort of a little bit happy with how she is. So I'm grabbing my Tim Holtz stickers and I'm kind of just putting some positive quote sentiments around her. I'm missing one ray, and basically I'm just gonna put in my own handwriting here. I'm trying to be messy with my writing. I'm sort of talking about who I am and what I'd like and things that really interest me at the moment. And so I am putting in words there that not necessarily are for people to read, but they sort of look like they complete the page as well. And with that, that page is done. So I'm just showing you here really quickly, recapping some of the layouts that we did. The Diane Reevely birdie on the flowers. We've got the butterfly entomologist samples, Cherish All the Sons and Daughters layout, the Say Yes, Be Daring abstract artist thoughts layout, and finally this girl who has a million things to say and wants to know who she is. Thank you so much for joining me. I have one more video to share with you in this Gelli print adventures, and I hope you come back to join me for that.